Baby, here we go. We are doing it right now. This is the bake sale session. This is episode 26, and I'm super duper califragilisticexpialidocious excited to bring on to our show, our pod, our sesh, the illustrious, the charismatic, the maven of all things cannabis, Professor Shannon Donnelly of what? The Metropolitan State University in Denver, Colorado.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is so much freaking fun.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Now, before we go any further, I wanted to double check. What is it that you are working on this sesh? Is it a dab rig? Is it a joint?
So right now I'm smoking on some THCA hemp rosin pens from Healthy Honeys.
Whoa.
It is rainbow belts, which I absolutely love. Total fan of like floral terps as well as some like fruity in there. And this is an O2 vape, so it like hits really fucking hard.
Ooh, so you're hit hard right now, right? So,
And then I also have Healthy Honey's garlic drip rosin. So I may take a few dabs of
garlic
this
drip
as well.
rosin. So let me get this straight. So not only are you a professor for cannabis, you are also an entrepreneur because that brand is your own, correct?
Correct. Healthy Honeys I started in 2014. We did at-home cannabis parties for women. And now we're reopening it to be kind of focused more on like intoxicating hemp products. Yeah.
I like the sound of that. And what you are witnessing right here, this is my friend the Dart Pro. It's a one-hitter quitter. And it holds 1/3 of a gram. And it is fantastic. Oh,
I love the look of it and that it stays cherried. It reminds me almost like of a glass blunt.
Yeah.
I used to like always rock a glass blunt.
exactly. And look at this, the handy dandy canister right here. So what I'm working with right here is a little cocktail of, let's see what we have. We have Maui McNutt, and then we also have Block Monster from Nanticoke out here in New York. And it is
Oh, nice.
so good. They are both sativas, I believe, and I'm not really worried about percentages. I'm all about the experience and just feeling uplift. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But it's not about me. It's about you, Professor Donnelly. Okay? Now, I want to make sure that we get into something really different because usually how an episode goes is I come in with a gripe or a complaint as to why we need to have a sesh, and Meghan
Yeah.
will calmly and politely, being the comedian extraordinary she is, she will check me just like I need to because I'm a man with terrible opinions at times. But today, we're going to do something a little different. I'm bringing positivity, and I'm going to tell you a little story. Okay? Check this out. So, it was last week, getting ready to pick up lunch for my ladybug, my lady love, getting some takeout, make the order, and I'm like, it's 10 minutes. So that is more than enough time to take care of what? A little cone action, and I'm good to go. And in New York, it was super duper freezing out here. So friggin' cold, like bone chilling. And there was this little old lady waiting by the bus stop. She just missed the bus. And I'm like, don't worry. I looked at my app, and it said 8 minutes. So I was like, this is perfect. I get to chief out, hang out, wait for my food, and then be her hero. I get my food, and she was like, oh my God, I thought you were waiting for the bus. I was like, no, Miss Lady, I was just picking up my food. I was letting you know so that you're not, upset or nervous how much time is going to take before the bus gets there. So it was a little nervous. It was a little dicey. Got the food, started walking out. I say bye, and I'm walking, and I'm looking back, and nothing's showing up. I'm like, oh no. I get halfway home, I look back, bus is pulling up, and I forgot to mention this. When I left, she was yapping to another older lady, that nice young man, and I was like,
Oh, that's so
Hey,
heartwarming. I love old people.
you need like stuff like that because I really do believe like everyone's purpose in this universe is to give a little bit of that joy to people because what'll happen, sorry for turning my back, it's Windows, city time. What happens
You're
is,
fine.
you like, you get a little brief piece of joy or whatever, you want to share that with somebody else and you tell them and it makes them feel good and
Yeah.
it's like a pebble, a ripple, or whatever you want to call it. So I wanted to start
It's
with that because it really made me feel good last Friday. I was like, oh, this is a great way to get into this weekend. Yes.
Yes, giving back to our community is absolutely amazing. I love little old ladies. Like we'll do anything that's needed. My mother is someone who I'll always help. My partner's mother, I called her yesterday just to bitch, and she smokes so much weed. I love
What?
her so much. Yeah, she like is always chiefing a joint. Man is the best. Um, and like it's so interesting that you bring that up because one of the reasons why I started Healthy Honeys in 2014 was actually to share my story about how cannabis helped me. But the group that it really kind of spoke to was our baby boomers.
Get out.
Healthy Honeys had cannabis parties for women. We had when I put the company on pause for a little bit, but with Healthy Honeys, I had women all around the country that had our events, so very similar to like Mary
Very
Kay.
cool.
Um,
Very.
and almost 60% of the women had AOL email addresses.
Oh, the AOL address. You got to love it.
Right? It's a throwback. And what was so rewarding about it was like all of these women who were figuring out about CBD and THC. They'd heard about it, in their younger days, but not used it when older. And it was changing their lives. And then they wanted to tell all, like your story, wanted to tell all the people around them, like, oh my gosh, I took CBD for my arthritis and like, it helped in all these different ways, right? And so now I'm going to give them a rosin and it's going to be even better.
Now, I got a question for you. With the older folks, especially, right? Like an example, my mom and my father-in-law, they are strictly just gummied, jellied treats. They don't want anything to do with what you're doing. Like, how would you attempt to explain it to them to try it, or would you just like, I'm not even gonna bother?
So when I had Healthy Honeys in like 2014, we did not have any combustibles, right? And we actually didn't even have any THC in our products. So I sold tinctures. We came out with a vape for like a second and only did one run because it wasn't very good. We had tinctures and topicals, and it really focused on what women were going through. And so that was up until kind of 2021. And I put the company on hold because I ended up becoming a regulator
Oh wow.
um, and working for the city and county of Denver. But and they don't let you have businesses that you regulate. I'm like, kind of makes sense. But so now bringing it back and kind of your question of like, how do you talk about it with someone who might be anti-consumption? The worst thing about consuming cannabis is smoking it, right? And we know that because it's going to be bad for your lungs, right? And so, but there's a use case, there you go. There's a use case for everything, right? The reason why we smoke on a regular basis is we want instant effects. We're also looking for intoxication. And so the best way to get an instant effect and intoxication and clarity, right? And all that is to smoke marijuana, right? But there's also other use cases for it. So, one thing that seniors deal with a lot is they deal with anxiety now. Like, my parents never talked about that word when I was growing up, but goodness gracious, it's thrown around all the time in senior
Wow, I
care
thought it was just
because
like
life's
for Gen X and friggin' millennials.
right. Turns out they've been having it the whole time. We just gave them words for it. We were like, this feeling where everything's falling and everything sucks and you don't know what to do. It's called anxiety. Go watch Inside Out
Dude,
too.
I was just thinking about that because when they were like and everything was swirling around, I was like, This is one of those few instances where I feel seen
Yeah,
in media.
exactly, right?
Yes,
Totally feel that,
dude. Wow, I can't believe
right?
that. Wow.
And our parents are dealing with it. The older generation is just realizing this. The interesting thing about cannabis consumption is there's only a few ways to consume that affect you quickly, right? You're not going to eat a brownie. You're not going to eat, yep, some gummies may take 15, 20 minutes. But if you're dealing with anxiety and you want it to go away and you can deal with a little bit of smoke, then puffing something that may be high in a CBD ratio, or sometimes you just want to forget, or you're at your, you know, friend's barbecue and you're like, these kids are annoying. I'm going to smoke, I'm going to hit this, right? It's going to hit you
Right.
immediately. So it's kind of about talking about the use case of why you would use certain products. And I think it's interesting because I see a move towards more smoking by new groups of people as beverages are taking on,
Ah,
right?
okay.
Because beverages are quick to affect and they're intoxicating. So it kind of is like a stair step. But really, everything has its purpose and its need, and smoking has that, right? If you're nauseous, if you're dealing with chemo, smoking is still the number one way to deal with that nausea almost immediately.
Oh man.
So it's not smoke all the time because you're 65 and you're retired. Good, you should go nan. But it's more, what are you actually looking for from the plant?
And what were you looking for from the plant?
Ooh,
Well,
today?
just in general, because your journey started like in
Yes.
2007
Yep.
with
So that's an interesting thing to say because in 2007, I was looking to open or be in a brand new industry and get high.
okay.
But in about 2012, I started working at a super medically focused dispensary. And we had new product manufacturers in Colorado that would come to us and they would say, we have this brand new product, and it's medically focused. We'd like you to carry it. And one of those, actually, shout out to Blue River Terpenes, Tony V. He actually
Tony.
was working with a company at the time called River Rock, and they came out with a CBD THC pill. This was in 2012. So, like, definitely no one was having access to CBD at the time. The only time they were accessing it was from sun-grown flower, right? Because they didn't realize it was high in CBD. But I started taking these pills, and then I learned that even though I'd been smoking since I was 13 years old, when I started taking CBD, I realized I actually was using cannabis for anxiety and depression.
Wow.
And it kind of made me realize that I'd been using it as a coping mechanism my whole life. But not until I took CBD did I really have that almost like gear switch in my head to be like, wait, this is like super medicinal. And I was going through like an abusive relationship and I like started taking these pills and I was like, oh shit, this guy sucks. I don't need to
Dude.
be anxious. Like, get me out of here. Right. And it was like this shift of like, shit, girl, you've been smoking weed since you were 13 and you've been using it for anxiety and depression as a coping mechanism this whole time. Thank God you found it when you did.
Wow, that is amazing. So it really like all the like when the gears they all clicked and you just were like you were ready to like make those shifts. So
Hmm.
let me ask you this question. Whenever you have like whenever you think you're about to have like a minty bee or something like that, right? And you smoke on it, how do you feel afterwards about the minty bee?
So it's, yeah, so it's interesting that you say that today. I have been going through like an inheritance battle with my brother, and it's super intense. And I got an email like 45 minutes ago, and I was like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Right. So I went straight to my weed drawer and I tried to find gummies with CBD. I didn't find gummies with CBD. I found a 10 milligram THC and a 10 milligram CBG. So I ate that.
Wow.
Then I went into my garage to like my stash of CBD products and I found these tablets that I put under my tongue. They're 5 milligrams of CBD and 5 milligrams of CBC. So I put that under my tongue and then I took a dab and I hit this 3 times and I'm not stressed anymore.
Wow.
I am able to, I sent an email back after this and I was like, this is what I fucking need. And I have always said, and the reason why I was looking for CBD is because CBD is able to give me this confidence that that anxiety takes away. And THC doesn't do that for me. THC is a great blocker for emotions and allows me to fucking go. So like if I'm sad and I take like 2 dabs, I'm like, oh, that shit's not that bad.
Right.
But the CBD adding to it is like, I can do this.
Okay.
Like it's not just that bad, and I can make it fucking happen.
Wow. Interesting. Now, let me ask you this. So, you said it's able to like make you go, make you do your thing, even when you're not feeling your most confident. How does that play? How did that play into being a professor and
Yeah.
having those classes and all that?
Yeah. So I think the interesting thing that concentrates do for me compared to smoking flower. So when I smoke flower, I get really what I call high in the eyes. And then I get a little bit more kind of cloudy and foggy. And sometimes that can be a really good thing. But that's not what I'm really needing during the day. And I am neurodivergent, I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
And I've always known that when I consume cannabis, I'm able to organize my thoughts much better.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is that when I switched from concentrate or from flower to concentrates, I work faster. I am more organized. I'm able to multitask more. And that is really important when you're a professor.
Right.
Because like this semester I have 39 students and I still am teaching 2 classes and I have these online self-paced classes that are going to start in a few months, which are like super fun.
Wow.
So I gotta be, smoking the hash.
You have like a laundry list of things going on, and like so cannabis plays a part in keeping all of those things organized. Like
Yep.
that is impressive.
100%.
Super duper impressive. And I love that because we get a bad rap. We get a bad rap. We're just sitting on the sofa. We're just not doing anything, not being productive. And I'll tell you, I spent most of the day going through your background and whatnot and figuring out, getting everything organized. And I was high while I did it, And I love doing housework, laundry, writing, being creative. And I feel like, I don't know, it's like a nice reward for getting all your silly tasks done too. It
Yep.
enhances them too.
Yeah.
I love telling people that I got 4 loads of laundry done in under 3 hours, thanks to
Fuck yeah.
a good sativa.
Oh yeah. Right. I think it's that interesting piece, like you said, around the stigma of cannabis, but also on the other side of it of like our endocannabinoid system being meant for cannabis,
There you go.
where it's like, if I'm really trying to get something done, I'm going to pick my strain and I'm going to do other things, but the strain is going to be that final piece that, gets the things checked off the to-do
I
list.
like that. I like that. That's what I'm talking about. Now I got a question for you that's like off topic, but we've been having a great sesh. You had your dab,
Yeah.
I had my flower, and I didn't even get to show you. I'm just showing you how you just pop it, and that is it. That's it.
That's awesome.
Thank you. But what I want to ask you is this. What makes a sesh, whether it's you by yourself or with a group of people, what makes it like the funnest experience?
So I have always said, and there's not research behind this, but when I smoke with new people, I feel like I get higher. And so there's actually like some of those like endorphins and things. So like I love smoking with new people. Um, we have a place here in Colorado called Cirrus, and Cirrus has tried to define the sesh.
Wait a minute. I
Have
think
you
I
heard of
follow
that
them
one?
on Instagram. Do they have, is it
Yeah,
like
and
a
it's like so
bar or
gorgeous.
something?
Yep. It is like a beautiful. So there's the Astor Club in New York,
Huh?
right? I think it's like a step up in classiness from from the Astor Club even.
Wow.
Maybe not as exclusive, but it is velvet curtains, beautiful florals. And I feel like if I'm gonna go out in public and I want to have a really fun time, and I'm kind of having like an intimate gathering, that's where I'm going to go because they have the vibes on lock.
Right.
They have infused beverages. So I'm a huge fan of infused beverages, right? And so if I'm going somewhere, like that's the place I want to be, like somewhere super fancy. But I also used to throw so many weed
What?
parties that I can like kind of tell you on like that aspect too. Because with Healthy Honeys, we literally did at home cannabis parties for women. So we had 7 different signature events. We did Women, Weed, and Wine, Women, Weed, and Wellness, Full Moon Goddess parties, Get Fit, Stay Lit, which was like our workout one, where we would go to Red Rocks. And like a few times we like were working out at the same time as the
What?
Nuggets, and we're like all super stoned, like little girls running back and forth on Red Rocks. But I'm just saying, with those events, the vibe is really important and making sure that everyone feels inclusive without feeling left out.
Got it.
And I am the person that like is attention to details. And so making sure like the ashtrays fit the vibes, right? Making sure that the flower is cultivated and the edibles are cultivated and everything's laid out to a point where it's so defined what they're intaking and what they should expect from those different products, right? And thinking back to like when we had a Women, Weed, and Wine event at a like really fancy place downtown Denver, and women showed up and they couldn't believe that every single detail was defined. And that's like what I think like it sounds like it's overkill, but if you're creating a space for people to consume, then like they feel so included where they're like, I didn't even think about that, or oh my gosh, I love that kind of aspect. The ashtray matches the cup, and the cup is filled with a drink that pairs well with the strain. Like
Wow.
it just kind of blows their mind. And I feel like with weed, like we're expecting that anyways because we're gonna be high.
So let me ask you this question. What
Yeah.
what are some of the things that are like I never thought of that for a sesh? What are those things?
So I'm thinking about like some of the things that my students present too. So like in my classes, they have to like present different business models and different event ideas.
Ah,
And one of the ones that I loved was all about a Pokemon launch. So it was like 2 years ago. Um, there was a new Pokemon coming out. I'm sorry, don't, it was like a cat Pokemon
okay.
that looked kind of like a weed cat. Yeah, it was a weed cat. But the student, every single detail, putting signs on doors that said like ghastly, because that's a Pokemon and it's a smoke Pokemon, and that's where everyone was smoking,
Oh, okay.
right? And then like the food was all Pokemon themed, but then she was really conscious of what she infused. So infusing like the bread with CBD on one because that can be really good for people who have inflammation from like eating gluten, and then sauces on the other side. And then there was like different levels because this was a family
Right.
event and there was just kind of like smoking. So there was different levels based on where the food was at. Um, and again, I'll just go back to ashtrays. No one puts ashtrays out enough at cannabis consumption lounges. It drives me insane.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's because people take them, honestly. I think the problem is that you have one ashtray and then someone steals it. Because I would have lots of like lady parties where people would be like, "Can I take this ashtray?" And I'd be like, "No, it's mine." And then one ashtray would still get taken because like they're
I
fancy.
can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm like, is it easier to sweep up ash?
It's not as hygienic if you want to put the like the professor hat on, right? So I think that there's a benefit of keeping ash in like one area. Um, but anyone's sweeping up ash anyways now because no one has ashtrays out.
Or it's like just friggin' bolt it to the to the bar.
Table.
Make it part of
Hmm.
or put it in it or something.
You make a light that is a light, but at the bottom it's an ashtray so that they're not going to take the
Or
light.
get like the friggin' brass bowl, put it in there, and just like, and that's it. So you really are like all about the details. You're not just doing like video games and chips and nachos or whatever. You're going full tilt for your sesh. I like that. No,
Yeah.
I dig that. Now, does the all the food have to be infused, or can it be bad for you?
Oh, it can be bad for you. I don't think everything should be infused,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Because it's funny because now I'm like, well, let's just go through my syllabus of my intro to cannabis for hospitality class or my cannabis in the kitchen class. But um, I don't think you should have everything infused because unless you are extremely clear
Hmm.
with the individuals who are walking in that door and they have the experience level to actually eat that much cannabis.
Got it.
So I always recommend, depending on what type of event you have, you have like an infused portion of each part of the meal, but then there's a way to like remove that, or you have like three options and maybe one of those is infused. I also teach the students a lot about how to use different parts of the cannabis plant.
Wow.
So like I like to use like fan leaves as garnish for like salads. We've also done it as like garnish for sushi.
Ooh.
And then I've rolled them in spring rolls.
What?
So like yeah, so there's like different ways that you can use the cannabis plant so it's not going to be always cannabinoid forward
Got it.
and you can still get like, the omega 3s and anti-inflammation benefits from the fan
I can
leaves.
dig it. Can
So
dig it.
like use terpenes in one course and not in all of them, right?
I'm a big fan of those terpenes. I love, what is it? Is it limonene
Ooh,
and micrine and what's the one that is micrine the earthy one?
myrcene, I think is what
Yes.
you're thinking, but yes, that one's earthy. Yep. Hmm.
And is there one that's piney? Is there a pinene?
Pinene, you got
Those are the
it.
three I like: pinene, myrcene, and limonene. That's what I dig.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. See, in the nose knows.
Yes. Now I got another really fun question for you. So we're gonna go about the opposite direction about the sesh. What is a pet peeve of yours in a sesh?
Um, I don't like when people try to get me to smoke and don't tell me what the strain is, especially in public situations. And you mentioned limonene.
Mm-hmm.
I stay away from limonene usually unless I want to clean my house. Because it gets me ramped up. I talk fast enough already. And if I smoke something with limonene, I like don't shut the fuck
Oh
up.
man. I mean, hey, listen, you've been doing an amazing job. We're almost hitting 30 minutes, dude. I mean, we'll probably go for like another 10 or so, and we'll keep this thing
Yeah.
rolling. So that is really weird. They want to surprise you with like, hey, guess it or something.
Yeah, I mean, I get that sometimes, or like they'll just, it'll get passed around to me, and then I like ask someone and someone doesn't know, but they're like, it's really good, like you should hit it.
No.
And it happened to me a few months ago when I was at one of my other favorite consumption lounges in Denver, Tetra. And then like I was like inside shaking because I was like, oh my God, that had to have been like a lemon head or something. And I like looked at my boyfriend, I was like, I gotta go. He's like, what? And I was like, the weed.
No. And how did your boyfriend take that?
He said, "Okay, I'm gonna stay. You can leave." I'm like, all right, I'll see you later. He was like, he had like a table set up and things like that, so it was kind of like, and he was like, "Why did you hit it?"
Wow.
I was like, "Cause I wanted to be cool, and I like it looked like a fun joint, cause it's like donut joints and stuff like that, right?" And so I'm like, I want to smoke a donut joint if it's getting passed around, but I don't want something that's like lemon head mixed with like lemon G.
Oh my gosh. So let me ask you another really fun question. So you are not only a professor of cannabis at Metro State University in Denver, you're an entrepreneur, and you also worked on the city council, right, in Denver.
So I was a regulator. I
Regulator.
wasn't a city council person, but yeah, I was a regulator.
Regulators, mount up. So, wait a minute. So, how far ahead of the curve is Colorado in comparison to everybody else in the country?
So we are a mature market, but I wouldn't say that innovation is something that's coming out of the state.
Wow.
Um, I would say that the interesting thing about Colorado is this isn't every regulator, but you have a lot of people that are regulating cannabis that don't quite agree with it being as accessible as it is. And so I was in a position where I like was coming from the industry and I was like, how do we make this fucking happen? Right. And I was trying to innovate. And the good and the bad thing about a mature market is you have these operators that have been operating businesses for 15 years and haven't had to change anything really.
Wow.
So they really don't want to. So I try to like through I have a nonprofit that I work with is I try to help our social equity entrepreneurs kind of take advantage of some of that blank space and hopefully start to thrive. But like in terms of innovation of like business ideas, I'd put Colorado pretty low on the list. Now, in terms of how fucking fire our rosin is, I'd put us at the top. But in terms of like business, I don't really think much is coming out of our market, and I think we're ripe for change.
Okay, and you guys have been legal for how long again?
So medical was made legal in 2001, and then we passed adult use in 2012 with the sales starting in 2014.
Yes, I have a fun fact for you. One of my best friends and I went to Denver for my bachelor party, and it was amazing. But the one thing that did happen was me and my best friend were like, we got to invest in like a convenience store or something because it was like at least by like I'd say midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, 7-Elevens were decimated, like nothing at all. I was like, what? These people are.
Yeah, we don't have shit for late night food. It's a
I
problem.
was like, these people are snackulators of the highest degree. Oh my goodness. Like that's something
Uh,
that I would be like, wow. But you had really hit on some really great points with regards to innovation and things of that sort. But I feel like you guys are setting the bar because it's like New York is still struggling to get like consumption lounges and other licenses and it's just like it's been a slog. Like what advice would you have for New York?
well, I think if you look at the New York market, you have to have the reason why Colorado, let me say this. The reason why Colorado hasn't done that well is because we don't have a united stakeholder base as businesses. And so if New York really wants things done the way they want them done, they have to engage in a stakeholder process with their regulators, which I know happens. You have regulators who are supporting your businesses. I think there's Miss T, I think, in New York City. And like there's people who are like supporting, right? But you have to be an active stakeholder in that process.
Got it.
And so one thing I thought was so funny is when I went to go work for the city, I said, so who lobbies us? Like, who tells us what we should do? And everyone at the city was like, no one. There's like one lobbyist. Like, he never really comes and talks to us. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, how are you guys making these laws, right? And that's why it was really cool being on the inside as an operator, because I also have consulted for cannabis businesses for since 2014 as well. Is like, hey, this law doesn't make sense, or this is how we should be looking at diversion and how it would or would not happen, right?
Got
And
it.
help the inspectors understand cannabis more. And the only reason why that happened is because I was a stakeholder inside of the city with that knowledge. And so I'm not saying everyone goes and works for the government, but the government is much more open to those conversations than most people think.
Wow.
They want to hear what's working and what's not. For example, you asked about consumption lounges. So
Right.
my job when I was the cannabis process navigator was to help the city understand how to license these businesses.
Okay.
And there was a law on the state level that said you could only sell 2 grams of flour, half gram of concentrate, or 80 milligrams of edibles to someone at a lounge.
Got it.
And then you also couldn't even sell topicals. They were like, no topicals. So
Oh, dude, I got.
I had a woman who was,
I'm so sorry to jump
no,
in.
go
I
ahead.
got one for you. So I believe I don't know if I got to double check it, but in New Jersey, a woman is allegedly getting 6 years for growing in her home. Allegedly, allegedly. I have to
Huh?
verify, but I wanted to just you brought made it pop out in my head.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? Is like home growth should be 100% illegal. And that's why you have to engage with your stakeholders to make sure as they're making laws that those things continue to be illegal or legal. Sorry,
Yes,
completely legal.
yes.
Home grow needs to be completely
Like
legal.
in New York, I
Um,
believe it's like you have like one person can grow. I think it's like somewhere between 3 and 6 plants or something like that. And I think it's really really cool. But like I really need to like make sure I dive into that story more. But
yeah.
I wanted to ask you something else too, because what is it like in the Denver market or scene as a woman? What is it like?
So it is interesting because a lot of our businesses are now kind of going through consolidation. And so at a time when there was a lot of different businesses, I would say that we saw Colorado being on the forefront of more women owners as well as like managers and things of that nature. Now that we've consolidated, I would say that that isn't quite the case. But what's really cool is that there is very much like ladies' nights that happen. We now have a cannabis spa and things of that nature. And so it's like really cool that we can like kind of see those things happening as women in the space. Oh, no. There you are. There you are.
I'm here. I'm here.
Well,
So
okay, good.
I'm gonna take this as a sign that we should like,
Wrap up.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Is Riverside telling us something, or is it the universe?
I love it. I love it.
Me
Uh,
too.
well, this was so fun. Thank you so much for like having me. I'm glad that we could like chat about all the things.
I
But,
hope that
I've
we
got lots of things going on, like you said.
And I hope that we were able to highlight a lot of what you were looking to talk about. The only thing we didn't talk about was what is it like as a woman in Colorado's cannabis industry? And
Yeah.
you can go, yeah, go into it. Go into it.
I mean, it's great to be on the forefront of an industry. I feel like for years I was one of the only women that was kind of continuing to push to for visibility. But now we have tons of ladies' nights. We have a marijuana spa called Pure
Yes.
Elevations that's in town, right? And so like Cirrus is a place that women can go and have so much fun, right? Ladies' night at Tetra. So I feel like the industry is continuing to grow and really putting us in the front of it because hey, it's a female plant that we're always seeking, right?
That's right. Now I got a question for you. Would you be down for a part two?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
We need a part two with the entire crew. Okay?
100%.
But again, Professor Shannon Donnelly, where can we find you on Instagram?
Yeah, it's just my name. It's Shannon.e.Donnelly. You can find me there. And then if you're looking for my classes, all you have to do is search MSU Denver self-paced and then Shannon Donnelly and they'll come up.
And we will provide a link for that in our description.
Perfect. And then Healthy Honeys, if you are looking for hemp rosin or hemp vapes, let me tell you, it is fire.
Whoa,
You can get it at healthyhoneys.shop.
that's what I'm talking about. Again, this is episode 26. I am super happy, super stoked to have been able to sesh with you, Professor Donnelly. This is Adrian Ashby, and we will see you next time. Take it easy, y'all. Bye.
Bye.